long time we were in school together. Curtis is one of those people. See, this is what's so great about this, and we're going to talk about this. You know, when you have people on campus and they superstars and they always doing the right thing, and, you know, people look up to them and stuff like this. Curtis one of them people. And then the boy that grown up, and now he's the alumni president leading us and things like that. So, Curtis, I'm super excited. I'm super proud of you. But one of the things, and I want to start this off because I think this is so important. As you said, sports and alumni, of course, intersect. There is no sports without alumni participation, being in the stands, financing, and things like that. So I want to start with this, and then we're going to go back to the overall point of view. Now, Rock, I know you remember this. We had just come off of Celebration Bowl, HBCU National Championship. I got the word that our coach potentially was going to leave. And this man put out the call to all the alumni, and in 48 hours raised over $150,000 plus. And Curtis, I could be wrong, but this was because I'm part of some of the DSOs that there were commitments to up to $500,000 of $25,000. Can you walk us through how that you galvanized the rallies to raise that, and how that process went with your communication with the AD to get that going?
Yeah, well, hey, it was. I recall it vividly, man. We were doing it. It was during the Christmas holiday season, making it more important, right? We had just come off this Celebration Bowl victory, and we were. The word started to get out that Coach Simmons at that point was not re-signed, and that we needed to really kind of figure out what we needed to do, and to keep this train together, keep all the passengers and coaches on that train, and set up for the repeat. And so, you know, Rattler Nation started as we usually do. People started having conversation. Phones started ringing. Social media started buzzing. People called me. The AD called. I said, okay, well, what's the number? And she made a call to all of the direct support organizations, to include the National Alumni Association, the Boosters, F Club, 220 Club, Rattlers Alone, certain fraternities, sororities. We all came together in our unique way to say, how do we put forth this genuine effort to make sure she has the funds to keep our coach at that point. And we went to work. We went to work in a monumental way. The Alumni Association has always and will always support athletics, particularly football, but we support all athletics. And we really take our cue from the actual Rattler Boosters. They are the official direct support organization of all sports, right? So it's not just football, it's baseball, volleyball, everything we do, all 13, 14 athletic programs. And so we usually defer to them. And I usually defer to my NAA members. Hey, if you really are into sports, you also have to be a member of the Rattler Boosters, because they directly, all of those funds go to the sports program. We take on not only sports, we have scholarships. We help to recruit students to FAMU. We help to keep students in school when they need a little change. They run into a little deficit, and to keep them on track. And then, of course, we connect those students when they graduate to alumni chapters across the United States. So that's kind of our role. But Steve, like I said, the call went out. We raised these monies. And to this date, we weren't successful in retaining coach at that point, but we got our next coach hired, which is Coach Cozy. And what we were able to do is take those funds and put them into something that helped plug a gap. And as I listened to the previous guest you had on, we had gaps. We had things that we needed a fund to support the coach and his staff. What we were finding is that the football staff, if they had to fund bonuses, to fund the things that he needed to help his staff to do and recruit staff to work with him, we were able to fill that gap, and we still have those funds to this day. Every now and then I'll get an email from Coach Cozy saying, hey, we just won this bowl, or we've accomplished this, and here's a level of bonus that I need to pay out. And I go to my board, I present that information to the board, and we move those funds to his account so that he can compensate his assistant football coaches and staff.
Curtis, I wanted to ask you something, because you talked about this mass amount of money being raised, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things, and we keep it real here, you know, one of the things that people are always leery of, where's the money going? Where did the money go? Is it sitting in the cash? Can you really talk about the checks and balances, how the alumni, when you're donating money like that, and why we can feel comfortable? And this goes for a lot of alumni associations do the same thing, but kind of talk about that process, because what we have is a fear of a lot of people scared to give money. You know,
Right. Right.
what they're going to do with the money, who's getting the money, somebody buying a car with it. So kind of talk a little bit about that process and how that works, and that the money is still there and like you say, and being utilized.
Absolutely. So all of these funds, we have specific designated accounts in the FAMU Foundation, right? So we take those monies and we put them in these what we call restricted accounts. And so those funds are not commingled with any of the operation account monies that I need to run the National Alumni Association. So we have a specific account, what we call the Football Coaches Compensation Account. And we have a specific number. So even if somebody wanted to give a gift to that account, it will go directly there. Those funds are there. And the only way those funds are dispersed is it's triggered from Coach Cozy. So he'll send a request to our AD. She's copied on the email. It comes to me. And then I take that request to the board, the National Alumni Board. And so they see it and they see the request. And this is how much money, this is the balance in the account. And after we make this money, this is what's left, right? And so everything is above board. We turn it over to Coach Cozy, and Coach Cozy then will take it in his account and disperse it to his respective coaches that, you know, deserved or won the actual financial contribution that he's seeking. We have nothing to do with it. We're simply we receive the money and we disperse the money where it's supposed to go. And we have a very strict accounting of that. We have to fill out these forms and it's all on file. And so it's all there.
Let me ask you this, Curtis, and I want to say when I had the opportunity to visit FAMU when you guys played for a SWAC championship, you and your alumni, I was able to attend one of your functions with Mr. Campbell there, and your alumni was gracious, and it was a very delightful event that evening. So I want to thank you for that because I felt like part of the family just for a day.
Yes. Come on back anytime. Come on back anytime.
So, but what I wanted to ask you, and I'm asking as an outside person, you guys, through the hiring of Coach Cozy, there were some things revealed about FAMU we got to see how the sausage is made, so to speak, because of that process. And everybody we got to see everybody's kind of role in the process. And I just want to ask you, being that you are president of the NAA and you've been part of several processes, is it usually as clunky as it was during that process to get the business done? Or was it especially, I guess, clunky just because of it was around football and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I think at that point, the culture at FAMU was at a point where we had an AD who had come to us and hired, and so it was the first process that she was bringing through with the hiring of a new football coach. And so when you have a new AD at that point, and you have all of this historic culture of way things have kind of been, you kind of have to really know how to massage and do that dance. And so there were a number of people that was really trying to rally around the AD to support, to say, hey, we have some norms, we have some traditions. And sometimes, the Rattler Nation, that we're very strong about some of our traditions. And sometimes it does feel that way, but you have to also embrace it, because those are the same people you're going to go back to say, hey, I need money. I need to raise money. I'm going up on ticket prices. I'm doing all this stuff. And those are the people that's going to carry that water and make sure that things are smoothed over. And so I think as we work through that process, unfortunately, it all played out for the public. We tend to kind of do that here. It made, I think, for a better process. I think ultimately people had a sense of buy-in. And I think that, one of the things that I always have to respect about FAMU, we are that type of institution that, we're FAMU. We have some disagreements with the family. We rally, but when we come out as FAMU. And we're coming against everybody else that's coming against FAMU at that point. But we do have a few dust-ups every now and then. But I think it makes us stronger. I think that as we are growing and we are building that and have that appreciation for our culture, you know, there are going to be some more fights that's going to come, and they're going to be much bigger than football. And it's going to be important that we have Rattler Nation galvanized to take on those challenges that we're facing, not only in the state of Florida, but on a national level as well.
You know, I was also, you know, very impressed. You guys have some very esteemed alumni that was a part of the process.
Yeah.
And what we witnessed was being part of the FAMU family is something that everybody in that process takes very serious, meaning that it almost got personal at one point during the process. And I was just wondering, how does a institution, because my daughter she'll be graduating from Prairie View soon.
Yeah.
Prairie View alumni is not that connected the way that FAMU's, and they don't take things personal that happen on the Hill the way it seems like the people at FAMU took things personal about what was happening on the highest of Seven Hills. How do y'all keep, what I'm asking here is, what is your role in keeping y'all so connected and so involved in what's going on FAMU campus, even after you graduate and move on or whatever? It seems like there's lots of people connected and involved in what's going on and have a vested interest in how things turn out.
FAMU is a very special place, man. You know, people have joked to say, "Oh, it's a cult." And sometimes I tend to agree, right? We have dust ups, but we know how to come together, and I think you saw that, right, when you came here. Those same people that will challenge you and may, you know, rearrange a few alphabets in their strong conversation with you are the same people that will invite you to the tailgate, have your cocktail and share food, and you get over it, right? I think one thing about Rattlers is you have to have tough skin. And from day one, and Steve, you know, you talked about this, we just have this thing that we put you in this system here, and it just naturally produces diamonds. And literally, it's built to pressure test, and people succeed at it. And because of that, they have an affinity and love. And don't get me wrong, they're very opinionated, very strong about some things. Sometimes we air all of our information out on social media, and sometimes it's not accurate, right? But it's for the love of FAMU. Those people still have a love of FAMU, and sometimes we have to try to get it right to help them understand that there's another way to do this. And then more importantly, let's be factual. Let's get the right information if you're really going to go out there and put it out there so that you at least don't come off not being fully informed. And sometimes we tend to do that. And one thing I can tell you, and this is a word of warning to you, Rocky, don't get in the middle of this FAMU dust up, right? We're gonna go at each other, right? And Steve and I may go at each other, but don't you come in there messing with us, because both of us gonna turn on you, and then it's gonna be on, right? You're gonna get bit everywhere by Rattlers at that point. So
Curtis,
stay out of it.
He has been bitten several times by these Rattlers. We try to tell him, which leads into something about your position. Now, one of the things about you were on, as they say, the hiring panel and things like that. And I'm pretty sure if there are other coaches, well, you being the alumni president, now we know what the AD is looking for, and we'll know what some of the other. You as being alumni president, when you put on this panel, what is your charge, and what are you looking as far as you're representing the alumni, as far as giving your input on the hire?
So I'm listening to alums, right? So I'm in these groups. I'm listening. I'm fielding phone calls. I'm making observations, because you're around the program. You kind of hear things. You kind of know kind of what is characteristics that you're looking for, right, to be able to walk into. And then that's always a very strong thing, because you're walking into a very strong culture, very strong. And you've got seasoned Rattlers, you've got young Rattlers, you've got very wealthy and very well-known Rattlers, and you've got Rattlers that just don't care and will hang out there and put it all out there, right? And so that's difficult for some people. And when you know that, you're looking for certain things in these processes to kind of see, and you're doing your background work to kind of understand the type of people, because you're going to be put into a pressurized system, and you've got to be able to make sure that person can really stand that, and you have to support them. But I'm listening to Rattler Nation. I'm listening, doing my homework, and I'm trying to see what's the right fit for what we're trying to do. So
I want to address something that I said earlier. It says Rocky, I'm lost at that's a shot. What I mean by Prairie View alumni is connected. My daughter is attending school. Just about everybody in my community here in Waco knows she's attending and has supported her and encouraged her in some form or fashion. Individually, they are connected. I'm talking about the business on campus is what I'm talking about. How I don't see the Prairie View alumni being connected in that way. Because you guys are certainly connected as a community, but y'all also are concerned about the business that's going on campus as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at all levels. So, you know, right now, we are searching for the next university president, right? And I'm on that search committee as well, representing alums. And so we just had a meeting here on Monday, and we had a lot of great applicants, and we kind of whittled that down here. But people are connected. They're talking. They're sharing information. They're concerned. And then they're concerned about what happens day in and day out on that campus, right? If customer service is one of the big things I hear a lot of from alums, right? I get those calls, hey, my daughter, my son applied, and they have this, they have that, and I feel those questions, right? And they reach out to me, and some feel connected, and I get I triage them to the right area and get them right information, and that's a part that we play as alums, to be that communication source back to it. We try not to get in it because they have their rules, but we try to at least get information back to the presidents and region vice presidents so they can inform. But we do stay involved. You know, that's one of the things that I got to just share this about why we need to continue to protect national alumni associations, especially FAMU, because, you know, we're in the state of Florida. And what I do know about the alumni association here is that, yeah, you see some things, but there are a lot of things that don't get recognized that this alumni association would do. I'm talking about the recruitment of students, because some of these kids never heard of FAMU until people in their community, a guidance counselor, retired teacher, or somebody brings up FAMU to these kids, and they bring them to this campus, and they see all of these beautiful people walking around and having great educational experience. But they also don't see these chapters that put together these send-off parties, when they get these kids together after they've been accepted, and they wrap their arms around them, and they say, okay, you're going into the nursing program. We've got alums that know the dean of nursing or came out of that program. So you call me if you got challenges or you need extra help. And not only is that, but they gather materials and supplies, and they send these kids to FAMU. And then these chapter presidents are checking in with these kids, and they come home, they have their respective zip code parties, area code parties. We call them 772 or 850 or whatever the area codes are. And they get these kids together for the holidays, say, how did it go? What do you need? Those are wraparound support services that this alumni and many alumni associations play. And that's why it's important, and why I fight so hard to make sure we maintain this status, because those are things that other PWIs are not doing to support these students. And it makes a difference, right? When these kids have a deficit of $500 or $350 and they can't register because of that, well, that's when alumni step in and make sure that these kids graduate on time, that they keep matriculating through FAMU and just don't drop out, because that actually penalizes and hurts FAMU, because unlike any other the HBCUs that you have on their background, we are a state performance-based system. So we have to measure up. We have to hit certain milestones to receive funding. Some of those institutions behind you are state funded. They just get funds from the state and they have here. Well, they put some criteria and some benchmarks on how you're going to get money here in the state of Florida. And guess what? It's not just FAMU in there. We're competing against University of Florida, South Florida, Central Florida, all of the other public institutions. And we're expected to hit those same marks. There's no excuses, right? So we need those wraparound services to make sure our kids are nurtured and our kids are supported and need that. And so that's the importance of the Alumni Association, and why we work so hard and why we're so passionate and stay so involved with these kids from day one.
Now, Curtis, I know one of your major initiatives is growing the Alumni Association.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found interesting, and we're talking about this using an athletic lens. One of the things that I saw, and I know you saw this, and maybe you can talk a little bit about it, that our Alumni Association partnered with Alabama State's Alumni Association in Dayton, Ohio, to, as you say, that care package to send that team. How do the different alumni association, because we all, even though we compete on the field, we all family. So do the alumni association, when we get together on athletic events, you meet the alumni association president, we'll work together to have a great game day experience, or things like that where we can support each other if we've got a school in town, for whatever reason. So that's something that that you have knowledge of, that's something that you encourage the alumni chapters to do. And also by getting more alumni, we could do more things like that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do, there is a network of alumni NAA presidents, right? So I've been on with most of the alumni presidents in the background there, and we have a network. We talk, we support each other. We ultimately all have the same challenges, believe it or not. It doesn't matter if you're in Alabama or you're in Florida, it's still the same, right? And it's all about how do we get more of our actual graduate alums to be active members of these associations, right? So we have to overcome perceptions, things that happen to them, and building that value of why they need to become a member of the Alumni Association. It's not too difficult to recruit them back for homecoming, and they have a great experience, but it's beyond that, right? We want you to have a great experience, but there's a part that you contribute to that will be cemented in legacy that will allow for you to support people coming after you. And that's what we have to really kind of shift that understanding to say, hey guys, have a great time at homecoming, but also make some of that money. Let's peel back some of that money you out there having a great time with and spending out there, turning up. Just take 100. That's all. It won't stop the party. Trust me, it's still enough to go around. But take 100 and invest in your membership. Get your membership or get your life membership, because those funds, particularly with us, they're restricted. When I've gone on to the great gates beyond, that money is still going to be here, spending off interest, supporting kids at Florida A&M. And I'd rather have it that way. If I've got to miss a party to do that and get my life membership, which I've done, many, many years ago, that's what it should really be about. And so, but yeah, we do, Steve, we do network. When we do go to visit other schools, there's a camaraderie there. We do meet with those other presidents. They do host us. We do have conversations, and we all kind of work together.
Now, I'm gonna say, Rocky, I gotta set one thing, and I think Curtis understands it. The reason why people know our business is because we have something called the Sunshine Law in the state of Florida. So there's nothing that we can hide, and Curtis can talk a little bit about that. When he has official meetings and things like that, that's on record in the state of Florida. So that's why, Rocky, why you say you might think we're in it, is because people see it. A lot of states do not have these same laws that we are held against, and I think that also shows that we're not afraid, as they say, to make the sausage made. Because, Curtis, I will tell you this channel, we show a lot of things about how FAMU is run. But I tell you what, we got a lot of respect because a lot of people saw that we were not afraid to have difficult conversations in public.
Right. Yeah, no, we have to operate in the sunshine here. So our meetings are public. We have to public notice them. We allow public comment. There's certain records that we have Freedom of Information Act that they can request, but there are some records that are not subject to FOIA. So, I mean, we have this stuff that we have to put out there, and we're happy to have the conversation with people, with alums, and, some accept it, some don't, right? But it is what it is, but we do have to operate, and we do operate in the sunshine.
I just want to ask you a question. As a alumni, and you've addressed some of this, but what are some of the challenges of fundraising at a HBCU, within the HBCU Alumni Association? Because to be perfectly honest, resources are always a topic of conversation when it comes to HBCUs. And so how is it particularly challenging or beneficial or whatever the situation or circumstance is around HBCUs? Why does resources always a topic of conversation? And then how important it is, how does the alumni chapters factor into that?
So I think that's a great question. I've been thinking about that a lot, and I'm gonna try to paint a picture that will help. One of the challenges I think we as HBCUs have that I don't know, and it still may exist at other PWIs, but we have so many schools, so many programs, so many organizations that have need at HBCUs. And unfortunately, everybody is asking probably some of the same people over and over and over, right? And so what we've got to try to do is cast a little wider net to spread that ask about, right? So I'll give you an example. We have a great band here, right? And so the band has a really big need when you move that amount of people to football games. So the people that obviously played in the band that's their thing, right? I mean, they want to make sure that band is supported and they want people to, but we also have sports, right? All of these different sports. We got basketball, baseball, volleyball, everybody, right? That has a need. And literally when our teams travel, and I'm not talking about the big revenue, I'm talking about the small revenue sports, the tennis, the swimming, the track, the baseball, softball, they travel. Alums are meeting them there with care packages, right? So again, you're asking those people that's contributing over, and so you have that, and then now you have the National Alumni Association, right? We're asking because we have to support these kids academically through FAMU. You've got the boosters asking, right? Because they got all of these sports that they got to do, and so somehow we've got to really figure this thing out. And I was really on earlier listening to your prior guest and how they begin to align their advancement department. And you're going to probably see a lot more of that from our thing. We're having these conversations now. It's kind of funny. I think it's spreading around all HBCUs. We've got to figure this out. We've got to figure out a universal ask that will support all of the programs. And then we got to get to more people. We've got to expand our communication and our touch point beyond those really super committed rattlers, right? And I'll say this, so here, I'm always trying to be very transparent. We've got over 80,000 plus graduates at FAMU. Now, of course, people, deceased, et cetera, but if you just look at the records, 80,000 plus. I've got about 5,000 that are active paid members of the National Alumni Association. 5,000. When I came in 3 years ago, I set a goal that we needed to get to 10,000 paid members, because that 10,000 is not only financially, but it's an advocacy group that when people say you got 10,000 people, they pay attention. That the 10,000 can shift a lot of things, especially in the state of Florida, right? Mm-hmm. So those are things that I think about because I'm involved with a lot of things in the state of Florida, is that, okay, I got to get this group to 10,000. So now I got to build my infrastructure to handle that. Well, we are a 501c3, all 100% volunteer organization. My infrastructure can't handle that. We can barely handle 5,000. So again, the need is there. So what I'm trying to really say to you is that your previous guests, and you're hearing here again, we've got to align some of these different departments. We got to start talking to each other. And then we got to be able to communicate that back out to, in this case, Rattler Nation, to say, hey guys, yeah, you come in, you're saying you're a graduate, and you are, but you're not really contributing to the point that we need you to contribute, because we need a lot of people to do a little.
I live here in Waco, Texas, and there's a Power 5 school here, Baylor University. Mm-hmm. And they have what you would call an entire fundraising department, where they have personnels within that department that just work on capital campaigns that have to do with athletics. Then they have capital campaigns to have to do with things that are happening on campus.
Right.
Does FAMU have that same infrastructure, and can you guys use any of that infrastructure to bolster the Alumni Association?
So Rock, we are building to that, right? So the conversation has been had. We have carved out. We have found funding to bring on some of that. it's literally kind of deja vu to hear the previous guests talk about that. We are literally doing that now. We've just brought on a new advancement person, Dr. Tony Neal, who's there now. And so I think what happens, we probably all go to the same meetings and network in the same thing. And we literally take ideas from other HBCUs and other schools. So it's funny you should say that. We are having those conversations now. I know the foundation is done a study. We're looking at a capital campaign, right? So we're in that phase where we are in the background, really doing our research to see if it can be supported. And I think those are the conversations that I know we're having, because I'm also on the foundation board. So as a part of that stuff's happening now, and we're looking at that. We have a position right now where we're looking for a person dedicated to athletics, particularly football. That would be a fundraiser, right? And so we've just got to find the right person to do that, to get out there and care for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I think those alumni associations for those schools kind of use those fundraising departments to supplement support and infrastructure. You know what I mean? Meaning that you get to use paid staff to make contact with alumni associations, well, even Letterman's clubs and things of that nature, to continue with those relationships and cultivate those relationships. One of the things that I've come to understand about just fundraising in general is that to cultivate new fundraisers, new givers, mm-hmm. it's often cheaper, rather than go after the new givers, to just press on with the people you have and just ask those people to give more. Yeah. Now, that's not fair in my opinion, to the people who are already generous givers. Right. But when you're trying to be efficient as an organization, right, yeah. it's better to put your resources and your time in places where you know that there's infertile ground, right. rather than invest in things that you hope sprout at some point. So how do you balance that as a fundraiser?
And I'm going to say you have to have a balance, right? Because what I've noticed here, right, a lot of our seasoned rattlers have been carrying this water for a long time, and things are getting a little more expensive for them, and they're living on fixed incomes, right? And so it's always a concern that when you're not putting more water into the bucket, knowing that water is coming out the bucket, you're going to actually have an empty bucket at some point. So we've got to find ways and pathways and alumni associations that not only, really support, but we've got to reach and get some of these younger people and bring them aboard. And with technology, I think there are easier ways and less expensive ways to do that than in the past, right? Because in the past, it was, you had a lot of physical labor, calling, touching, and you got to pay a lot of people. With some of this technology now, I think if we really did it right, and we're probably a little more with it ingrained, I think we may get a few more in that bucket early on, because technology is proven, right? I see it all the time. People get out here and I've seen it with rattlers. We make stuff go viral and buy it all, right? I mean, we're selling shoes, we'll sell fans, we'll sell a certain particular gear that they see. Technology does that. If we just got to find a way to turn it on so that it supports our university.
I have to ask this question, yeah. Curtis. Yeah.
What you want to ask?
And this question: when you first heard the idea mm-hmm. that FAMU was going to receive a $237 million donation, what was your initial thought? Now, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole with you, because we know how it all turned out. But I know another smart rattler who was skeptical from the word go. And I just wanted to know, were you also skeptical? And you're in the in crowd. So I just want to know your original thoughts.
I'm going to be honest. I'm in the in crowd. I was sitting on the stage right next to the person. That was during graduation. I spent quite a bit of time with this person that weekend, because we had, I think 2 or 3 graduations that weekend. And met him that Friday night and Saturday, and all of this stuff culminated. It was a surreal moment is all I can say. There was a part that had some elation, and there was a part that, because I was there and I was in such proximity, you know, I've been around a little while, right? I've been in corporate America for some times, and I've been at a very high level in some very high level rooms. There was some amount of skepticism because it wasn't matching up, right? I've been around some very wealthy people. And I've seen how they move. And, you know, I guess at one point I was just trying to be hopeful and optimistic that it would work, and trusting in the system, that all of the proper vetting had been done. And I think as we've begun to unfold that and unpack that, there were probably some things that maybe didn't get the amount of attention that it should have gotten. And so that's where we are. But I can tell you, Rock, I was there. I can't deny that. There are pictures. I'm literally sitting right next to that situation on stage, and so it was something that we've turned a corner. We are moving forward. We have recovered from that, and the better days of FAMU and raising money for FAMU is ahead of us. So
okay, I just have to address this.
Okay.
So the guy thinks I'm trolling and trying to be messy. What I'm simply saying is, I asked the question for this reason, Curtis. As I've gotten to know the FAMU alumni, y'all are some of the most brilliant people in the state of Florida. I'll put that. And there's no way, in my opinion, that it makes sense that it got as far as it did with the people that y'all have it at y'all disposal from just a knowledge and experience standpoint. Just looking at the people who are on the board, you know what I mean?
Well, Kurt, let me answer that. I'm gonna answer that for you. So, Rocky, here's the answer. And I think
I'm not trying to be messy or anything.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna answer that because I can answer this better because I'm part of the street committee. There are people that are placed that have jobs that they do. Curtis' job is to be the alumni association, like he said. What I'd rather ask him about is, Curtis, this, because we, like you said, we moved on. This is 2025. How about we talk about the real money that you actually have raised and supported families? We ain't gonna talk about the money that we don't know about. Curtis, I'm gonna move this conversation actually. So Curtis, one of the things I want to talk about is that I see that the athletic teams, the football team, baseball, they're creating their own alumni organizations and things like that. So let's talk about how you're working with them to each one of those programs to build that, and also let's talk about actually monies that have actually been raised to support. And I think one of the things that we did do is you talk about scholarships to keep students. I think $150,000 of scholarships that were given out just recently. Let's kind of talk about that.
Yeah. Rock, I appreciate you, brother, but we have learned that we're resilient. Okay, we have turned that corner. And there's no doubt in my mind that there will be rattlers that will attest and step up to the great fundraising capabilities and exceed that. Okay, so I that's what I believe and know about Rattler Nation. Steve, the question, we've done something to expand our National Alumni Association by having what we call affinity groups, right? And so affinity groups is a group of people that have an affinity. We've got former football players, baseball. We have a baseball affinity group. We have a nursing group. I think that we're trying to bring on, like, the law school wants their group. Guess what, Steve? The School of Business is pretty close, right? Bringing on their affinity group. So what we've found is that through schools, through different programming, people have that like-minded and likeness. And so they're forming their own alumni group. So it allows for them to control their scholarships to their respective affinity. And we've seen great success with that. And that's allowed for us to expand our membership and gather more interest in that. You know, the traditional model is, hey, you have a city or a state or an area where they have a particular chapter. And some of our alums, you know, they work all over the United States, and they may be in a certain place that they don't have a chapter. But hey, I played football, so I can go on my affinity group, and things like this platform and virtual platforms will allow them to be participants. And so they gravitate back to that. And that's how they give their monies, they have their fundraisers, and then they award their scholarships to their respective affinity on how they want to do that. So it's been tremendous. We've got softball, baseball has been very, very popular with their affinity group. So, the NAA, we have a couple scholarships that we fund. We have a national scholarship that we award all students at FAMU. They have to apply, etc. And we have what we call a Save Our Students, which is an emergency fund, right? So when Dr. Hudson gets that call from a student to say, hey, I need, a small amount of money to be able to stay here because I don't have it and I needed to register, we work with him, in making sure those students stay on track.
Now, Curtis, one of the things I also want to talk about, because the alumni association, we have athletes, and as people know, our athletes, again, majority, and this is any athlete, Power 5, Florida State, Florida, are not going to go pro. How does the alumni association work with our athletes for as serving them? Hey, we got, like you said it best, we got a football player, basketball player that graduated, and we connect them with older alums as far as job opportunities and things like that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things too that we're growing with our National Alumni Associations. We have a convention every year right now. We're going to be out in the Texas area market this year at the end of May 29th to June 1st. And we bring the whole operation of the NAA. That's where we actually do our annual operation. So we've got our budget, we have our business meetings, we have galas where we raise money. We have our big day of fundraising that week. But yet we also are doing more to professionally develop our alums. And so we partnered with corporations. Just last year alone at our convention, we raised over $250,000 from some of our corporate partners.
See, that's right. That's real money. That's real money right there.
Real money that we raised in corporate partnership that allowed for us to put on our convention. And then they came in and they were partnering with chapters and saying, hey, we're looking for this type of student. We're looking for this type of alum that may be looking for a career change, right? And we've had that. That's the system that we're fostering with our alumni association as we have our national conventions. And so we have great corporate partners. We're looking to expand that. Obviously right now, things are a little bit different nationwide in our companies now. So we're going at it a little bit different in how we're partnering with them. And we've never really just said this, but we know that if they're looking for great talent, it's at FAMU. FAMU has a variety of different students from all walks of life. And we do have white students. We got Black students. We got Latin students. We got just smart students, right? We got them all. And so our platform is to make sure that when they want a great quality education and they're looking for engineers or they're looking for business or they're looking for pharmacy, they're looking for nurses, that Florida A&M is in that particular.
Curtis, let me ask you this. Have you guys been able to capitalize on being named the #1 public HBCU in the country? Use that with corporate sponsorships and maybe even inspire alumni giving since being named the #1 public HBCU?
So I think the answer is twofold. So yes, our corporate giving is up from the advancement office and our corporate partnership. So absolutely, corporations are coming to the table, and we have exceeded our goals each and every year when we set our goals for corporate fundraising. So the advancement office is absolutely doing that. The Alumni Association, I think we have begun to partner with that, but and making sure we capitalize on it. I think what we're going to do a better job as a university is building that out and really spreading that around to alums to say, hey, this is what we need to do, and demonstrating that we're a #1 public HBCU. And that's going to start, ironically, on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. It's our 1887 annual giving program. So starting this week, the university will be participating in our annual giving day. And so we have 2 days of that. And that's really where the measure of FAMU alum comes in. And so that's our day. Even if you just give $1, it will be registered as #1. It will help drive that number that says, okay, you have this amount of graduates. What's the percent of rattlers that actually contribute to that? Because that's what corporations look at. They want to say, okay, you're going to ask me for $100 million over so many period of time. What's the percent of alums giving to you? You've got these 80,000 plus graduates. Is it 10%? Is it 8%? Whatever it is. So that's how we measure that. So that's going to be a point where I think we can really demonstrate this to help strengthen our university ask when it comes to these corporations. right? And so we're going to kick that campaign off this week, and we'll have rattlers all over the nation giving. And no amount is too small, no amount is too large. Just give something on those two.
You know, I gave for 19. I gave for your 19th AD at FAMU.
Okay.
And ever since I gave, you guys have been pretty consistent, reaching out and touching me and making sure that if I have any lunch money, any change fall out in the couch, y'all have stayed in contact with me. And you know, and I haven't unsubscribed from the emails yet.
Thank you. Hey, do me a favor, Rock. Just share that with a few of your friends, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. But no,
she's a great lady, and it's ironic. So she's the 19th athletic director. I'm the 19th NAA president. So that's.
And I think Cozy is the
19th head coach, right? So we had our 19th number thing here. Yeah.
Now, Curtis, one of the things, and we're going to wrap it up because I know it's late and everything, but it was a
That's
couple
okay,
things I want to, I want to bring up. Now, your term is getting ready to end. Now, you're running again. So a lot of people love the job that you've done. I respect the job you've done and things like that. What are you looking to in your next term to do? And like I say, and again, I want to talk about two things. Again, just the overall point of view, and also because you do have a great relationship with AD Suggs and how you're going to be also tightening that bond with athletics and the Alumni Association.
Yeah, so we just have to build on what we've done, Steve. I mean, you know, it's been 3 years. This thing goes fast, right? And so I'm up for re-election. The ballots actually went out today, and so electronically we'll conduct this, and we will pick a new slate of administrators that will come into a very successful NAA. You know, Rock, we run this machine. It's all volunteer powered. I mean, they do work. It's not like you come here and get to wear a jacket. I mean, I'm on calls all day. I'm dealing with a university, and I got a life, right? I'm an elected official that's in a city that's serving a city of 50,000 people. You know, I've got a business that I run myself, right? My consulting practice and leadership training and development. So I'm busy, right? But I still find time to be here and be a part of a team that we really want the best for FAMU. And so as we approach this re-election season, we will have a new slate here going forward by let's say it's April, right at the beginning of May, and the NAA will move forward. The work that we do is important, and the things that I want to continue to build upon is we've got to critically get our infrastructure in place. We know we need to grow, but the one mistake that all HBCUs make, in my opinion, is the infrastructure is not there to handle it. And that's when people get frustrated. They can't get the answers. They can't give. We are doing that. And so it's not only technology, but we're also getting the infrastructure and alignment together with our advancement office and the foundation office, so that as monies are flowing and we're trying to move monies from chapters to students and putting it on an account, there's a lot of stuff there. And there are a lot of systems that we may be sophisticated and lined up with, but once it meets the university system, if it's not aligned, it ain't gonna work, right? And so there are a lot of conversations that are happening now to get these processes in place. And then you compound that with a new university president coming in that's obviously going to bring and put their team around them, right? Whatever that looks like. And so it's just, you know, it's a perfect, great storm. We will rise above this and continue to move forward. We're going to have a great football season, but we just want to build upon it, right? We want to support all our programs. We want the alumni to be strengthened to continue to advocate for FAMU at the Florida Capitol, at the nation's capital, and making sure that we're asking for the appropriations and support from those programs. And then we want to attract more alums. You know, we want more Steve Campbells out there saying, hey, how can we really help get more alums involved with this and be a part of the great success that Florida A&M is, Florida A will continue to be, and Florida A&M will be here forever. And that's what we want to make sure.
Absolutely. Hey, man, you know, I don't know your role in the end zone VIP section. You don't have any role in that.
I walk through and wave. I have a few cocktails with the people. You know, I don't miss a great cocktail, right? So I have a great cocktail with the people, and you know, just chop it up, man. Steve was here when I was here. I was the unofficial mayor. I was the mayor of Tallahassee because, you know, I love a great party now. You're not going to get me to miss a great party.
No, I brought that up because, you know, most of the people there are alumni and seasoned alumni. What it looks like, and it's just a great environment. I had the pleasure of accompanying Steve in that area, and it was just a overall great time. Probably one of the best experiences I had in HBCU, you know, being around HBCUs, even in the middle of a monsoon. It was all right.
Listen, I remember that vividly. I was just going to say, you were there with the commissioner and with the SWAC commissioner. He was there. We were all just swamped. But you know what? The beverages kept being poured and we got through it and we had a great victory. We had a great party afterwards. So we just love that, man. And not only we did that for football, for basketball this year, we actually brought an indoor version of that to our basketball games. So, you know, that's the creativity of our AD Suggs and really seeing that. And, you know, we played a small role behind the scene to make sure that we could help support that. You know, as a 501c3 organization that we run here, we are always looking to partner. And that's a great avenue that a lot of people, you know, realize that we're a 501c3, we're a DSO. And so there's a lot of great things and partnerships that await us. And we look forward to that.
And Rocky, I just want to put one button on it. And I want to say this because you mentioned that. And I'm going to say this because I know this because I had this discussion today. Florida State, the university gives $1 million to the Alumni Association to operate. Everybody on our Alumni Association, it is a labor of love. They ain't getting no checks, bro. And they work hard. They pay their way to get to where they got to go. They pay for their tickets to get to games. So the thing about it is, and that's what I think is, and I'm challenging all of us because Curtis, what happens is a lot of times we have all, you know, these YouTube shows and Facebook page. Everybody complains. Why this ain't perfect? Why this ain't? The only way it's going to get perfect is we have people like Curtis and supporting them because, like I said, it's a labor of love. So, Curtis, I really appreciate you coming on because the one thing about it is we hear about what the alumni supposed to do, but I think it's very important to know that without sports, without the alumni, there is no sports and vice versa. So, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we wish you well in the election.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great evening, man. And hey, who knows? Maybe back soon.
Oh, man, we got to bring you back. Hey, Curtis, let me tell you something.
One way or another, bring me back.
Yeah, we'll bring you back when we do our football picks. We'll let you pick your picks and stuff like that.
All right.
Take care, thank you, Curtis.
All right.
Hey, man, this has been a great day, man, or evening. We've had AD Goff to give us his experience as an AD and the functions of an AD and the things he's trying to do at Prairie View. We had Curtis, you know, kind of echo some of the same things and said FAMU was trying to implement some of those same things that AD Goff was talking about, man. Looks like HBCUs are in good shape, huh, Steve?
Man, listen, the thing about it, what makes HBCUs are the people. And what I'm super, and Rocky, what you need to do is open up the phone line for 5 minutes so these FAMU pit rallies can curse you out and everything for 5 minutes.
The phone lines are open.
Hey, man, listen, y'all call in and tell this joke. Hey, man, listen, let me say this. This is what's so great. First of all, let's talk about the Prairie View people. And I'm going to say, and this is what people don't understand. You Rocky, and I'm saying this as a joke. You'll make a statement, but we love our schools. And we ain't gonna let nobody, I don't care if you, like Curtis said, even if you get to the school, because we know what our schools have done for us. Those Prairie View people are, like I say, I had a person, class of 1959. She loves her school. She's watching this show because she wants to support us. That's 1959, bro. You see what I'm saying? We got all the Prairie View people in. So when we hear things and jokes, bro, we gonna get at you. So I'm just letting you know, don't ever think that we don't love you, but we gonna get at you. Same thing with the FAMU people. So yes, with the thing with the 237 thing, we understand what it is. But neither I can't control it, Curtis can't control it. No. But what I'm saying is, but the one thing about it didn't stop FAMU. That's the great thing about it. It didn't. A lot of people would be like, oh man, listen, man, whatever. We keep moving. And we still turn out to be the #1 public HBCU. So what I'm saying to all my people that watch the show, first of all, I appreciate you because you all are supporters of your schools. You always going to support school. And like I say, when that joker Rocky get out of line, man, just check him like y'all do, man. Just check him.
Again, Curtis, he's so professional, so knowledgeable. And in the conversation, I really wasn't doing it to be disrespectful or even be funny. I just wanted to get an understanding of someone of his acumen in the moment. What was he thinking? That's just what I wanted to know. What was he thinking in the moment? I didn't want us to rehash or relitigate that experience. But a guy of his intellect, you kind of knew it was a fugazi right off the bat.
See, this is why I think. Well, I want to clear something up. I think. Well, let's be clear. I think when anything, I wasn't there on the stage, you know what I mean, or even around it. So I think and I think the reason why I wanted to make sure I spoke for Curtis because he is our alumni president. That's his personal thought, whatever he might have thought. You see what I'm saying? That's his personal, whatever he thought. Because what you'll reveal is my personal thought. Now, if I'm working for the university, I'm not telling y'all nothing what I thought about. You see what I'm saying? I don't work for the university, so I can talk that. But when, again, this goes back to the point, when you have certain positions.
He had official capacity.
You have to sit back and you have to measure. And what I will say, and this is what I think what FAMU people did the best. They still rally around their school. They still work to raise money, like Curtis said, record break, fundraising, trying to increase the alumni. And, man, we still here. So, again, I don't mind the questions about. I want you to understand when you see the pushback, that's what comes at it. Because a lot of, for these people, this is, like I say, this is a real job. You know what I mean? And it's not a paid job. With AD Golf, there are things, down there at Prairie View. I'll give you an example. With the situation with Al Wash, I have Prairie View people that have a certain perception about dealings. You see what I'm saying? But that's not for me to say. But what I do like what AD Golf talked about was, hey, this is what we're doing to increase Prairie View's fundraising capabilities. This is how we're going to make a better game day experience. Because all we want, and I think everybody agree, I want every school to have competent people at the helm. So be it Curtis, be it AD Golf, AD Suggs, AD Bryant, AD Robinson, Coach TC Taylor, whoever the coach, and things like that. That's all we want from HBCU land. Because the bottom line is, like I told you, you said Baylor. Baylor's they pay people. Curtis and that whole crew do that for free, bro. And they make it look good. You see what I'm saying? They make it look good.
Yeah, it was, like I said, that was a compliment for him to be able to do get done as much as he does on a volunteer basis with no budget at all, with no paid employees. It's amazing that you guys are able to do what you guys are able to do. But just imagine if there was some investment there, what you guys would be able to do. Yeah. So. But now, ain't nobody called. I'm finna shut down the line.
All right.
And our coach is not here to take us out, so I'll do my best impression of Coach Cole. Because if you see yourself at the end of the rope, tie a knot and hold on tight. Because what, Campbell?
Ain't nobody bad like me. But I tell you one thing, you keep acting crazy that quick, we're going to tie that knot somewhere else to let you know. Have a good night.
My name is James Jr., and I won $500 on the lunch money for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.